How many of your conversations have gone like this?
Yeah, babe, the kids were acting up today. Like, I mean, completely acting up. Just straight up wearing me out. And I still have to go to the grocery store. I still have to throw in a couple of loads of laundry and I still have to work out.
Okay, so what all do you need me to get from the store?
What? I didn't ask you to go to the store, babe.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to go to the store for you.
No, I didn't say that at all.
Oh. The reason why there was a breakdown in communication was because I tried to look for how the story applied to me before I understood Kadaj's meaning. Many times we look at how something applies to us all while ignoring other aspects of the story. If I had just taken the time to understand the context and the meaning of Kadaj's story, I would have realized that she had had a long day with raising our kids and she just wanted to let me in on how her day was going. And with this understanding, the story now has a completely different significance to me. Now, instead of me trying to go to the store for Kadaja, I just simply need to be present and listen. Not only does this happen in our day-to-day conversations, but this also happens when we're trying to read the Bible. If we're not careful, we will run to a passage of scripture and try to grab some kind of significance from it without fully understanding the context and the meaning that the passage has. And to fully or best understand the Bible, we need to first understand its context and its meaning before trying to apply any kind of significance to our personal lives. Now, context is defined by Google as the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed. And there are a lot of things that form context, like the literary genre that a work was written in, the time that the event took place, the location where the event took place, the audience which the speaker was talking to, and the event before and after the main event. All of these go into creating the context, and knowing this will help us understand the Bible better. Once we understand the context of a story, we can then look for its meaning. Meaning is the actual message that a communicator is trying to convey to their audience. Meaning is what I want you to understand from the words that I'm speaking to you. If you don't understand what someone meant, then you will pull significance from something that was never meant to be pulled. In other words, the text can never mean what it never meant. You have to be clear on the meaning of something before you move forward. In our example earlier, when I grabbed the significance of what Kadaj was saying before I grabbed the meaning, I ended up giving myself instructions that I didn't even need to follow. When we understand the meaning of something, then we can discern what steps we need to take next. Then you can rightly ask, how is this significant to me? Or how does this apply to my personal life? Significance is how something impacts or affects you. Significance gives you your instructions or the practical application of something. Meaning is what the communicator is trying to convey, and significance is how that message impacts or affects the listener. An accurate meaning will help us interpret significance the right way. This flow of context, meaning, and significance gives us the right framework in which we can interpret the Bible. And when we have that flow off, we will consistently miss what the Bible is actually trying to say to us. And this is really evident when we read books in the Bible like the book of Hosea. The first few verses in the book of Hosea read, "When the Lord began to speak through Hosea, the Lord said to him, 'Go, marry a promiscuous woman and have children with her. For like an adulterous wife, this land is guilty of unfaithfulness to the Lord.' So he married Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son." It's easy to read the first few verses of Hosea and think to yourself, well, if God made Hosea marry a promiscuous woman, would he make me marry a promiscuous woman? Should I go and look for a promiscuous person to marry? Why would someone ask those questions? Well, they would ask them because they went to grab significance from the passage before they understood the context and the meaning of the passage. When we look at the context, we see that Hosea was a prophet who lived in Israel, which he sometimes refers to as Ephraim, during the time of Jeroboam II, one of the worst kings in Israel's history. And Hosea spent most of his time pleading with the Israelites to turn from their wicked ways and come back to God. And so a lot of this book is written in poetry. That's the context. So when you're reading the book to understand its meaning or the message that Hosea was trying to convey to the Israelites, you've got to have that context in mind. Because of Israel's rebellion and the spirit of prostitution that they exhibited and exuded in their lives, God was ready to judge them. And even though Israel had made a covenant with God, they continued to violate that covenant by worshiping other gods and serving other idols. They had demonic sacred stones that they looked to, and they even had political alliances that said that they trusted in nations more than they trusted in God to protect them. Their behavior mimicked that of a prostitute. They made a covenant, but they were unfaithful to it. So God tells Hosea to go and marry a promiscuous woman as a prophetic symbol to the nation of Israel. Hosea's marriage to Gomer was a reflection of God's covenant with Israel. But because God is faithful and just and loving, he allowed Israel to be judged, and he allowed them to reap the harvest of death and destruction they had sown. But because he's a man of his word, he makes a promise and he keeps this promise to bring Israel back to himself. He renews the covenant, just like Hosea renewed his covenant with Gomer after she left him. The book of Hosea is about the unfaithfulness of Israel and the faithfulness and love of God, which is expressed through both his judgment and his renewing of his covenant commitment to Israel. Once you understand the meaning of the book, it's so much easier to grab significance from the passages. Of course, God isn't telling me to go and marry a prostitute. What nation would that be a prophetic symbol to? The significance that you and I can grab from the book of Hosea is this. Despite all of our failures and our self-sabotaging behaviors, God still desires to be in fellowship with us. If he was faithful to restore wicked and evil, idolatrous, pagan Israel, then surely he is able to restore people today. So the next time you're looking for wisdom in the Bible, be sure to get the context of the passage first, followed by its meaning. And then you'll know how to correctly apply it to your life. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, surrendering to Jesus isn't just a one-time big decision, but a lifetime of intentional choices. God bless you.